Hi, I'm Jim Knotts, President and CEO of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund. Welcome to today's virtual reading of the names. 2022 marks the 40th anniversary of the dedication of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. As part of our commemoration, we'll host an in-person reading of the names at the wall from November 7th through 10th, 2022, when all 58,281 names on the wall will be read aloud. In the lead up to that event, we'll be reading names each day online while sharing the photos of these heroes. For our daily virtual reading, the names of the service members will be read by month and day of death between the years 1956 and 1975 in alphabetical order for the given day. We apologize in advance for any mispronunciations. Know that our readers are doing their best to honor these service members. We hope you'll listen and watch each day and share with others as we remember and honor those who gave their lives during the Vietnam War.
Raymond Allen, Roosevelt Ameson Jr., Terrence Wesley Anderson, Ricky Eugene Appleby, Richard Thornton Arthur, Jerry Scruggs Baker, George Arthur Bamford, Drew James Barrett III, Gerald Edward Bartram, James Ronald Bateman, Donald Freeman Basinger, Leon Beard, Raymond Joseph Bouchard, William Henry Beckwith, Raymond Louis Bethia, Leroy Preston Borer, George Joseph Bojarski, Randy Rennell Boykins, Willie B. Bradford, Prentice Fay Brenton, John Mitchell Bronkema, William Floyd Bronson Jr., Charles Paul Brown, Richard Allen Bruick, Clarence Paul Burleson, Johnny Ray Burton, Timothy Michael Carroll, Larry David Carroll, Jesse Romero Castro, McKinley Kaufman Jr., Buddy Eugene Shannon, Philip Leslie Clark, Bobby Dean Clark, Kenneth George Clark Jr., Francis Thomas Clarkin, Milo Dean Clements, Robert Lee Clulow, John Irving Clifford, Willard Marion Collins, Robert James Comstock, Maurice Allen Cooper, Gary Wayne Cooper Sr., Larry William Cotton, Rodney Lane Crane, Lonnie Joe Chrisman, Lester Danchez, Charles Leon Davidson, Ronald Eugene Dedman, Darrell Wayne Donaldson, William David Dorfman, Edward Francis Duncan, Alton Lee Ellis, Stephen Charles Urbantrout, Richard Dale Firo, David Lee Force, Richard Thomas Forrester, John Linwood Fortner, Robert Eugene Foster, Lindell Francis, William Joseph Francis, Ivel Doan Freeman, Freddie Lynn Fryer, Willis Lee Fernie, Juan Enrique Garcia Diaz,
Charles Pierre Girard, James Martin Gonano, Joseph Gracier Jr., Robert Stanley Gregg, Johnny Paul Grissom, Edward James Habbery, Billy Allen Hall, James Richard Harrison, Gary Lloyd Henderson, Elijah Herring Jr., Francis R. Hittinger Jr., Dale Mitchell Hallowell, Blaine Leroy Honeycutt, John Edward Hood, David James Hordern, Frank Calvin Huff, Timothy Lawrence Hurley, Donald Reese Irby, James Michael Yarlamick, Bruce Dale Jones, Cleveland David Jones, Ambrosios Santiago Hirado, Richard Allen Jerkic, Dale Rodney Karpensky, Harold K. Kettner, Jr., Daniel Lee Kennard, Lloyd Martin Kuhn, Paul E. Labrecque, Jr., William Girard Lacey, Richard Arthur Ramirez, Charles Dwayne Land, Melvin Randolph Level, Encarnacion Ledesma, Raymond Francis Leftwich, Walter John Lemieux, Arthur Dale Lindsay, Merrill E. Luby, Norman Gerard Lozeau, William Robert Lucas, Dennis W. Malowitsky, John Montague Mansfield, Larry Dale Matheny, Ralph Emerson Mayers III, Michael Joseph McCarran, Jerry Cecil McDonald, Warren Shelby McElhennon, Michael George McKinney, Clarence Earl McInnes, Joseph Harry Mears, Robin Brewer Miller, Edward James Millison III, Fulton Beverly Moore III, Jackie Ray Morgan, Patrick Dale Moriarty, Woodrow John Mueller, Clarence Norford, Joseph Edward No, Jr., Calvin Norman, Jr., Michael Patrick O'Connor, Daniel John O'Neill, Francis Sherman Oberson, Dennis Allen Ormond, Angel Ortiz Rodriguez, Gregorio L. Pangilinan,
Rex Lewis Parcels, Jr., Edward Perea, Joseph Espino Perez, Hal Edward Perry, Delbert Ray Peterson, John James Petrie, Leon Milton Phillips, Oscar Wayne Pierce, Ronnie Ray Pittman, David Allen Poley, Melton Howard Presley, Richard Nicholas Procida, William Thomas Prose, Robert B. Proto, Jr., David James Pugliese, Charles Lancaster Putnam, Stephen Joseph Ragu, Daniel Cortez Reese, Keith Harold Ritz, Matthew Mark Renner, Robert F. Rex, Roger Paul Richardson, James Rivera, Leroy Bryan Robbins, Edward Robinson, Eugene Francis Robinson, Bobby John Rollins, John Howard Roth, Douglas Noel Rowe, David Adams Russell, Lawrence Walker Scanlon, Robert John Schoenhoff, Leonard John Schopner, John Francis Shea, Richard Dale Shields, Donald Lee Shirley, Aaron Charles Smith, Larry Max Smith, Robert John Summerer, William T. Spearman III, Ralph Ronald Springs, Jr., Lee Roy Stafford, Philip Thomas Stahl, Michael Forrester Stearns, Edward Marvin Sternin, Jesse Brent Stevenson, Richard Lewis Still, Wilbert Stovall, Gus Stovall, Jr., Howard Albert Strasbaugh, Charles Frank Sturma, Eugene Edward Swift, Lothar Gustav T. Turla, Henry Earl Thomas, Alton Thomas, Jr., Santiago Torres, Jr., Thomas Gaines Turner, McCrae Benedict Tuttle, John Runfield Twark, William Vasquez, Richard Ellsworth Vincent, Larry Jonathan Waddell, Ross Jerome Walker, James Howell Wall, Tim Leroy Walters, Donald Ray Webb, Huey Williams, Dempsey H. Williams III, Kenneth R. Williams, Jr., Rudolph Wilson, Clarence Cornelius Wilson, Bruce Woolrab, John Perry Wunner, Jerry Otis Woods, Wiley Wright, Jr., James Edward Wyatt, Joseph Walter Wysong.